The gavel cracked like a gunshot in the oak-paneled chamber of the Harrington family estate, shattering the illusion of civility. "You're done, Christopher," his father thundered, voice echoing off walls lined with portraits of senators and governors who'd built empires on secrets. Blood roared in Chris's ears as the photo, him, tangled in sheets with another boy, fluttered to the floor like a fallen flag. In that frozen instant, the weight of generations crushed him. The Harrington legacy, forged in backroom deals and ironclad closets, now demanding his exile. "Pack your bags tonight," his mother whispered later, her manicured hand trembling on his shoulder, eyes averted from the son she'd raised to inherit the throne. "For all our sakes." Christopher Harrington slammed the car door on the gravel drive of St. Augustine's Academy, the Adirondack Mountains swallowing the echo like a guilty secret. It was September 2008, and at 17, he was already a ghost in his own life, shipped off from the manicured lawns of Greenwich, Connecticut, to this remote boys' prep school in upstate New York. The air bit crisp with pine and regret, a far cry from the salt-kissed breezes of the family yacht or the marble-floored galas where he'd once charmed donors with a smile that hid everything. His father, Senator Elias Harrington, hadn't even seen him off. "Focus on your studies, son," the note in his suitcase read, typed and impersonal, tucked between starched shirts. "This is for the family." Chris crumpled it, the paper cutting his palm like a promise of more pain to come. The scandal, whispered about in tabloids as youthful indiscretion, had been buried under NDAs and a swift family jet to Europe for the summer. But Chris knew. It was the photo from that party in the Hamptons, his lips on Alex's under the stars, captured by some opportunistic waiter with a cell phone. One kiss, one mistake, and the Harrington machine had activated. Exile wasn't punishment. It was erasure. St. Augustine's loomed like a Gothic fortress, ivy-cloaked stone whispering of old money and older sins. Chris hauled his duffel up the steps, rain starting to spit from iron-gray clouds, mirroring the storm in his chest. Boys in blazers milled about the quad, their laughter sharp as broken glass. He was the new fish, the Harrington heir slumming it after health issues, or so the cover story went. No one would know the truth, not unless he let it slip. And God, he was tempted. Room 214. Harrington. The housemaster barked, clipboard in hand, eyes flicking over Chris like he was defective merchandise. "Your roommate's already settled. Keep it tidy, no scandals here." The word landed like a slap, and Chris bit back a retort, jaw clenched as he climbed the creaking stairs. The room smelled of lemon polish and teenage sweat. Posters of indie bands and faded lacrosse trophies cluttered the walls, a stark contrast to the minimalist penthouses Chris knew. And there, sprawled on the lower bunk with a dog-eared copy of On the Road, was Jason Ellis. Lanky, with tousled chestnut hair and freckles dusting his nose like stars on a clear night, Jason looked up, green eyes widening in mock surprise. "Well, shit," Jason drawled, southern lilt cutting through the northern chill. "Atlanta transplant," Chris guessed from the drawl. "They said I'd get a roommate, but I didn't expect Prince Charming himself." "Christopher Harrington, right? Saw your dad's face on C-SPAN last week, filibustering that climate bill like it personally offended him." Chris dropped his bag, forcing a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "Guilty. And you must be the rebel without a cause, judging by the Kerouac." Jason laughed, a sound like gravel under tires, rough, real, pulling Chris in despite himself. He swung his legs off the bed, standing taller than expected, all lean muscle from what looked like endless pickup soccer games. Jason. Just Jason. Parents dumped me here after I got caught joyriding their BMW. Figured military school was too cliché. So prep it is. He extended a hand, calloused from guitar strings Chris noticed peeking from under the bed. Their palms met, warm and steady, and for a second, the world tilted, Jason's gaze lingering a beat too long, curiosity flickering like a match in the dim light. That night, as thunder rattled the windows and rain lashed the panes, Chris lay awake on the top bunk, staring at the slats above. Jason's breathing evened out below, soft snores punctuating the storm. Exile, Chris thought bitterly. His father had spun it as a gap-year prep to the press, but it was a cage. No weekends home, no calls to mom without Elias monitoring. "You're a liability now," his father had said in that final meeting, voice like tempered steel. "Fix yourself, or the family will fix himself." The words clawed at Chris's gut. He'd always known. Stolen glances at locker room teammates, the electric hum when boys brushed past in the halls of his old school. But the Harringtons didn't bend. They broke what didn't fit. Elias had clawed his way from a Steeltown mill to the Senate through sheer will, marrying into old money and birthing 3 sons to carry the torch. Chris, the eldest, was meant for greatness, Harvard, then the Hill, a wife from a Vassar sorority, grandkids with perfect teeth. Gay? That was a plot twist no scriptwriter would dare. Downstairs, the dorm's common room buzzed with first-night bullshit sessions. Chris slipped down later, unable to sleep, craving the anonymity of strangers. Jason was there, nursing a contraband coke by the fireplace, strumming an acoustic guitar softly. The melody was haunting, fingers dancing over strings like they were lovers. "Can't sleep?" Jason asked without looking up, the firelight carving shadows across his face. "Nightmares," Chris lied, sinking into the worn leather armchair opposite. Truth was, the silence amplified the ache, the loss of his life, the fear of what came next. Jason nodded, eyes knowing. "This place'll do that. Bunch of rich kids playing at hardship. What's your poison? Harrington? Daddy issues? Mommy's a drunk." Chris snorted, the honesty disarming. "Something like that." "You, both." Jason's strum faltered, then resumed, softer. "Dad's a judge, thinks I'm his redemption project. Mom. She left when I was 10. Said the South was too small for her dreams." He glanced up, vulnerability cracking his easy grin. "So, what did you do to land here? Steal the family silver?" The question hung, baited hook. Chris could deflect, keep the walls up. But Jason's gaze stripped him bare, green eyes like forest pools daring a dive. "Kissed the wrong guy," he said finally, voice barely above the crackle of flames. The words tasted like freedom, sharp and sweet. Jason's fingers stilled. The room seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, he set the guitar aside, leaning forward. "Wrong how?" "At a party. Someone snapped a pic. My family's influential. In politics." Chris's laugh was hollow. "Scandal's bad for the brand." Silence stretched, thick as the rain outside. Jason's expression shifted. Not pity, but something fiercer, like recognition. "Fuck him," he said quietly. Fierce. You're not a brand, Chris. You're a goddamn person. No one had said his name like that in months, not shortened, not casual, like he was just another kid with a heartbeat. Chris's throat tightened, eyes burning. He looked away, into the fire, but Jason's hand found his knee, a tentative anchor. Hey. It's okay. Secrets suck. But they don't own you. The touch lingered, warm through denim, sending sparks up Chris's spine. He met Jason's eyes, saw the mirror there, his own hidden fractures reflected back. In that moment, under the vaulted ceilings of a school built on legacies, two boys on the edge found a thread to cling to. Weeks blurred into autumn gold, leaves carpeting the quad in crimson and amber. Augustine's was a pressure cooker. AP classes dissecting The Great Gatsby as if it were prophecy. Lacrosse practices that left bruises blooming like accusations. Chris threw himself in, acing debates on constitutional law, channeling the rage his father had ignited. But it was Jason who grounded him, the late-night confessions over pilfered whiskey from the housemaster's cabinet. Jason's stories of Atlanta summers sticky with humidity and unspoken grief. You're like a hurricane, Jason said one crisp October evening, as they hiked the trail behind the dorms, backpacks heavy with contraband sandwiches. The sun dipped low, painting the peaks in fire. All that energy bottled up. Bet you'd blow the roof off a courtroom. Chris kicked a pine cone, grinning despite the ache. If they let me near one. Dad's got me blacklisted from the family firm already. The words slipped out, rawer than intended. Elias had cut off the credit cards weeks ago. A test of independence, but it felt like amputation. Jason stopped, turning to face him, breath fogging in the chill. Then build your own empire. Screw theirs. His hand brushed Chris's arm, casual but charged, and the air hummed. They danced around it, the glances in the shower steam, the way Jason's laugh lingered on Chris's skin like cologne. But here, miles from prying eyes, the pull was magnetic. They crested the ridge, the valley sprawling below like a map of possibilities. Jason pulled a battered joint from his pack, swiped from a townie, he claimed, and lit it, passing it over with a wink. To empires, he toasted, smoke curling like secrets. Chris inhaled, the burn grounding him, and handed it back. Their fingers tangled, deliberate now, and Jason didn't pull away. Instead, he stepped closer, the world narrowing to the space between them. Chris, he murmured, voice rough as the mountainside. The kiss was inevitable, crashing like the storm that first night. Jason's lips soft but insistent, tasting of smoke and salt. Chris's hands fisted in Jason's hoodie, pulling him closer, the world tilting on its axis. It was messy, desperate, years of denial pouring out in gasps and grips. Jason's fingers threaded through Chris's hair, tugging just enough to elicit a groan, and for the first time since the gavel fell, Chris felt whole. They broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed, laughter bubbling up like relief. Wrong guy, Jason teased, echoing Chris's confession. Never, Chris whispered, heart pounding a new rhythm. But secrets in St. Augustine's were currency, and whispers traveled faster than wind through pines. By Thanksgiving, rumors swirled. Two rich boys too close in the locker room. Harrington's adjustment issues. Chris ignored them, lost in stolen moments. Jason's head on his chest during movie nights. the way he'd hum Dylan tunes while Chris studied. It was fragile, this bubble, but it was theirs. Home leave came like a thief. Chris's train pulled into Penn Station amid holiday bustle, the city a glittering trap. The family limo waited, Elias at the wheel, uncharacteristic, a sign of control. Progress? His father asked. Eyes on the road, voice clipped. Chris stared out at twinkling storefronts. Learning a lot, about love, about breathing without apology. But he swallowed it, the old habit. The estate was a winter wonderland, lights strung like nooses. Dinner was a minefield, his brothers, twins at 14, chattering about lacrosse. Mom, brittle as fine china, passing the turkey with a smile that cracked. Elias dominated, dissecting the election cycle, his bid for re-election a religion. Christopher will join the firm summer after next, he announced, as if Chris weren't there. Learn the ropes. The table fell silent. Chris's fork scraped porcelain. Actually, Dad, Elias cut in, as like Flint's, you'll do what's best for the family. The subtext, or else. That night, alone in his childhood room, plaques and trophies mocking him, Chris texted Jason, miss you. This place is a cage. The reply came swift, break out. Come to Atlanta for break? Mom's cool. Temptation bloomed, wild as kudzu. But Elias's shadow loomed. Escape meant bridges burned. Still, as snow dusted the grounds, Chris dreamed of magnolias and Jason's laugh, a lifeline in the cold. Winter break ended in fracture. Package arrived at St. Augustine's, and signed, but Chris knew the courier's stamp. Inside, a burner phone, Jason's scrawl on a note, call anytime. You're not alone. The first message was a voice memo, Jason's voice husky, thinking about that ridge. About you. Hurry back. Chris played it on loop, heat flooding his veins. Classes resumed in a haze of snowdrifts and stolen glances. Jason had claimed the desk by the window, their bunk a sanctuary of tangled limbs after lights out, whispers weaving dreams. What if we run? Jason murmured one night, tracing patterns on Chris's chest. California. Surf and forget this bullshit. Chris kissed his temple, tasting salt. And leave what? Nothing worth keeping, but the seed planted, roots twisting toward light. Spring thawed the mountains, but not the rumors. A note slipped under the door. Faggots get what's coming. And signed, but the venom was junior year poison. Locker room bravado turned blade. Jason found Chris in the bathroom, knuckles bloodied from punching tile. Hey, Tiger, he said softly, wrapping ice in a towel. They're scared. We scare them. That night, they made love for the first time. Tentative, then fervent, the bunk creaking under urgency. Jason's body was a revelation. Freckles mapping constellations, gasps like prayers. Chris lost himself in the rhythm, the world reduced to skin and size. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Jason's head on his shoulder, Chris whispered, I love you. The words hung, vulnerable. Jason lifted his head, eyes shining. Ditto, Harrington. Now shut up and hold me. Graduation loomed like a guillotine. Elias's emails grew curt. Firm internship confirmed. No distractions. Chris deleted them, forging his path in Jason's arms. But fate, cruel playwright, had other acts. It was prom night, black tie under stars. The gym transformed into a fever dream of Tool and temptation. Chris and Jason went stag. Bros, dancing on the edge of propriety. A slow song swelled, and Jason pulled him close, sway hypnotic. One day, Jason breathed against his ear. "We'll dance like this in public." No hiding. Chris's heart swelled. But a shadow fell, Tyler Bradshaw, lacrosse captain, sneer twisting his all-American face. "Careful, Ellis. Harrington here's got issues." The punch was swift, Chris's fist connecting with Tyler's jaw, the crack echoing like that long-ago gavel. Chaos erupted. Chaperones hauling them apart, blood on the floor. By morning, expulsions loomed. Elias arrived by helicopter, face thunderous. "What the hell?" Christopher. In the headmaster's office, truth spilled, the fight, the photo from months ago Tyler had dug up, revenge porn of their own making. Elias's eyes darkened to voids. "You're done here. Home. Now." Jason stood beside him, hand brushing his in defiance. "It's my fault, sir." Stay out of it," Elias snapped. Then softer to Chris. "We fix this. Family first." On the helipad, rotors whirring, Jason gripped Chris's arm. "Fight it. Don't let him win." Tears stung. "I have to go." "But this." He pressed a stolen class ring into Jason's palm, engraved J.E. "It's us. Wait for me." The chopper lifted, mountains shrinking below. Jason's figure blurred, a speck of rebellion in a vast gray. Exile. Round 2. But this time, Chris carried fire. Summer in Greenwich was purgatory. The firm internship was drudgery. Filing briefs on corporate loopholes. Elias's lectures on optics. Chris nodded, plotted. Nights, he drove the family Jag to hidden beaches. Jason's texts a lifeline. "Miss your stupid face. Atlanta's hell without you." Fall brought Yale, Elias's alma mater. Golden handcuffs. Chris buried in poli-sci. Frat parties a blur of beer and beer goggles. But Jason haunted him. A letter postmarked Savannah. Words like embers. Applying to NYU Film School. Closer to you. Love, J. Hope flickered. They met in Manhattan that winter, anonymous in the village's neon haze. Jason, broader now, eyes alight, pulled him into a dive bar booth. "God, Chris." The kiss was ravenous, months of ache unleashed. They tumbled into Jason's sublet, a walk-up reeking of ramen and ambition. Clothes shed like old skins, bodies reconnecting in frantic grace. "Never again," Jason gasped, hands mapping scars, emotional, etched deep. "No more cages." Chris woke to sunlight slanting through blinds. Jason sketching him on a napkin, pencil strokes tender. "My muse," he teased. But dawn brought reality, Elias's call. Thanksgiving. Family summit. Important. The estate glittered with holly, but tension crackled like static. Over brandy, Elias unveiled the plan, 2020 Senate run. "Yours, Christopher." After law school, Chris's stomach nodded. The seat his birthright, poison chalice. "Dad, we've buried the past," Elias interrupted, eyes hard. "No more mistakes." Across the table, his mother sipped wine, silent. The brothers fidgeted, sensing storm. Later, in the library, she cornered him. He's proud, in his way. This is his legacy, for you. Legacy or noose. Chris fled to the stables, breath fogging. His phone buzzed. Jason. How's the turkey? Miss you. Strangling. He typed. Need you. The reply, NYE, my place. Will ring in the new year right. New Year's Eve in the village was magic. Fireworks over the Hudson. Jason's arms a harbor. They danced in the streets, strangers cheering, and for hours, the world forgot its judgments. In bed, tangled and sated, Jason traced Chris's jaw. Marry me? Someday. When you're free. Chris's heart stuttered. Yes. God. Yes. But freedom was illusion. Spring brought whispers, Yale's conservative set sniffing scandal. A leaked email. Chris's old text to Jason. Innocuous but damning. Elias quashed it, but the cost was a discreet therapist. Sessions dissecting deviant impulses. Jason sensed the fracture during summer visits. You're fading, he said one August night. Brooklyn rooftop. City lights sprawling. Fight back. I'm trying, Chris whispered, but the weight pressed heavier. Senior year shattered it. Election fever gripped campus. Elias's re-election loomed. Chris campaigned weekends, shaking hands in Connecticut diners, smile a mask. One rally, a heckler shouted, "What about your son's boyfriend?" The mic caught it, crowd gasping. Elias's face paled on stage. That night, the hammer fell. End it, he demanded in the hotel suite. Photo of Chris and Jason from a paparazzi stakeout slapped down. Or the family's done with you. Chris's voice broke. You can't. I can. And I will. Disinherit. Disown. Your brothers inherit instead. Elias's eyes, once steel, now shattered glass. I love you, son. But love doesn't win elections. The betrayal gutted him. Jason, on the line later, voice steady, choose us, but fear one. I can't lose everything, Chris sobbed. I'm sorry. Silence. Then, you're already lost. Click. Graduation was a blur. Law school at Columbia followed, a grind of casebooks and caffeine. Jason vanished, NYU dropout, rumors of a film gig in LA. Chris dated women, performative, the therapist nodding approval. But nights, alone in Morningside Heights, ghosts whispered coward. Years stacked like indictments. 2016. Elias retired amid health whispers, passing the firm to the twins. Chris clerked for a federal judge, buried in robes and rulings. 2020. Pandemic isolation. Elias's chemo calls turning confessional. I was wrong, he rasped once. About you. Too late. Chris hung up, heart ice. Then, spring 2025, the call. Elias, gone. Heart attack in his study. Mid-memo. The funeral was D.C. Spectacle, senators eulogizing the lion. Chris stood dry-eyed by the casket, the twins sniffling beside. In the will reading, shock. To Christopher, the Senate seat. Vacant by my passing. Claim it. The twins gaped. Mom wept. Chris. Fury. Then clarity. The seat, Elias's throne. Now his weapon. He returned to claim it, Not as heir, but avenger. The Harrington estate felt like a mausoleum that July. Sunlight slanting through leaded windows onto dust motes dancing like forgotten ambitions. Chris paced the library, the lawyer's words echoing, "Special election in November. Your father's endorsement is ironclad. Party machine's yours if you want it." The twins, Marcus and Lucas, lounged on leather wingbacks, Marcus swirling scotch, Lucas scrolling his phone with feigned disinterest. "You serious?" Marcus drawled, identical blue eyes narrowing, Elias's eyes, but softer around the edges. "After all this time playing clerk? Dad always said you were the golden boy." Chris stopped, fists clenched at his sides. Golden boy. The phrase tasted like bile, laced with the memory of boarding school bunks and Brooklyn rooftops. Not playing. Surviving. He met their gaze, the room thick with unspoken accusations. The twins had thrived in his shadow, Marcus at Harvard Business, Lucas lawyering for Pax, untouched by the family's dirty laundry. Gay son? Shipped away. Straight sons? Groomed for glory. Lucas looked up, smirk fading. "Look, bro, it's your call. But the hill? That's piranhas in suits. And with your history," he trailed off, the elephant trumpeting loud. "History's buried," Chris snapped, though his pulse thrummed. Buried, but not dead. Jason's ghost lingered in every mirror, green eyes accusing, "Choose." Mom entered then, elegant in black linen, pearls a noose around her throat. "Boys," her voice, refined Connecticut clip, brooked no nonsense. "Your father wanted unity. Christopher, the seat he saw you in it. Redeeming us all. Redeeming." The word ignited something primal. Chris had spent years redeeming straight AS, straight dates, straight lies until the mask chafed raw. Now, at 34, with crow's feet etching laugh lines he'd forgotten how to use, redemption tasted like revenge. "I'll do it," he said, voice steady as Senate marble. For him, lies, of course. For himself. For the boy Elias had broken. The campaign launched in August, a whirlwind of stump speeches and strategy sessions. Hartford headquarters buzzed with aides in khakis, coffee IVs dripping. Chris's platform: education reform, climate action, Elias's ghosts, twisted progressive. A new Harrington era, the press release crowed, papering over the cracks. First debate prep was brutal. Campaign manager, Rita Voss, 50-ish bulldog with a Yale law degree and a Rolodex of donors, pinned him with laser eyes. "You're the prodigal son, Chris. Lean in. But no personal shit. Your father's clean. Keep it that way." He nodded, throat tight. Personal shit. The exiles. The erasures. And Jason, God, where was he now? A quick Google that night. Incognito mode. Jason Ellis. Indie filmmaker. Credits on Sundance shorts about queer outsiders in the South. Last scene. LA premiere. Arm around a co-star. Chris's chest hollowed. Moved on. Good. September brought the trail. Diners in Bridgeport. Town halls in New Haven. Crowds warmed to him, tall, dark-haired, with Elias's jawline and a smile that disarmed. Senator Harrington 2.0, headlines quipped. But nights in chain motels, alone with room service steak, doubt crept. Was this claim or conquest, throne or trap? Then, the opposition, State Senator Lila Grant, firebrand Democrat, 52. All sharp suits and sharper tongue. Pulls tight, her grassroots versus his machine. Harrington Air? She scoffed in their first joint appearance. New London VFW Hall packed shoulder to shoulder. Or Daddy's apology tour? Laughter rippled. Chris gripped the podium. Pulse steady. Senator Grant fights for change. I am change. Born here. Built here. Connecticut's in my blood. Applause swelled, but her eyes narrowed. Praising. Post-debate. Schmoozing vets over watery beer. Chris felt eyes on him. Turned. A man at the bar. Mid-30s. Lean in a button-down rolled to elbows. Chestnut hair tousled. Green eyes locking like tumblers in a safe. Heart stuttered. No. Jason. He looked. Weathered. But achingly familiar, freckles faded. Jaw shadowed with stubble. A tattoo peeking from his cuff. Film reel entwined with thorns. Journalist now, the badge clipped to his belt read Hartford Chronicle. Chris, Jason said, voice low thunder, sliding onto the stool beside him. The bar noise faded to white hum. Jason, Chris's mouth dry as debate notes. What the hell are you doing here? Working, Jason signaled the bartender, ordering 2 whiskeys neat. Politics beat. Covering the race. Small world. Ha! Sarcasm edged his drawl. Atlanta still clinging. Chris's laugh was strangled. Tiny. Congrats on the films. Saw Southern Ghosts, gripping. Jason's gaze flickered, surprise softening the armor. You watched. A beat. Thanks. Means something. The whiskey arrived. Glasses clinking like old promises. They drank. The burn familiar. So, Jason drawled, swirling amber. Senator Harrington. Come to polish the family silver. The jab landed. Chris set his glass down. Hard. Claim what's mine. You. Truth. Jason's eyes bored in. Always have. Remember. How could he forget? The ridge. The ring, lost in a Yale bonfire. Or so he told himself. Water under the bridge, Chris murmured, but his hand itched to reach. Not for everyone. Jason leaned closer. Cologne woodsy. Stirring ghosts. Heard about Elias. Sorry. Don't be. Complicated. The crowd surged. Lila holding court nearby. Laughter pealing. Jason glanced. Then back. Look. Ellis. Editor type waved from the door. Trucks leaving. Jason stood. Reluctance etching lines. Duty calls. Break a leg. Senator. His hand brushed Chris's shoulder electric. Fleeting. Or don't. Up to you. Gone. Swallowed by night. Chris drained his whiskey. Heat pooling low. Up to me. For the first time in years. Felt true. The encounter ignited fault lines. Next morning. Jogging the Mystic River Trail. Chris's mind replayed. Jason's touch. His scent. Back at HQ. Rita thrust a dossier. Opponent research on Grant. Clean. But dig deeper, always a skeleton. Chris flipped it open. Pulse quickening. Buried midway, a sidebar on allies. Jason Ellis. Freelance contributor. Known for exposés on political closets. A byline photo. Jason at a rally. Caption outing the hidden. Nausea rose. Was this recon? Or coincidence? He texted from a burner old habit. Coffee? Neutral ground. 2 p.m. Java Junction. Reply swift. There. The cafe hummed with laptop warriors. Steam hissing like accusations. Jason arrived late, rain-slicked, carrying a battered messenger bag. This better be quick. Deadlines. Chris pushed a latte over. What are you really doing here, Jace? Jason's brow arched. My job. Why? Paranoid already? History. Chris leaned in, voice low. You show up now? Covering me? A flicker hurt? Anger? Not everything's a conspiracy. Chris. Elias dies. You jump in news. I'm good at news. He sipped, eyes over the rim. Especially when it's personal. The air charged. Chris's knee brushed Jason's under the table. Accidental fire. It is. For me. Jason stilled. Then don't. Not unless you mean it. He stood, chair scraping. I've got scars too. Remember. Wait. Chris grabbed his wrist, pulse leaping under thumb. Dinner. Tonight. Off record. Hesitation. Then nod. Your hotel. 8. The suite at the Peabody was opulent, silk drapes. King bed mocking solitude. Chris paced in chinos and Oxford. Cologne spritzed like armor. Prompt 8. Knock. Jason, in jeans and Henley, hair damp from shower, held a bottle of Napa Red. Peace offering. They uncorked on the balcony. City lights winking below like conspirators. Talk flowed easy at first. Films, law cases, the twins' antics. Laughter bridged years, but undercurrents swirled. You look good, Jason said softly, refilling glasses. Power suits you. Feels like a noose. Chris loosened his collar. You? Hollywood didn't chew you up. Spit me out wiser. Jason's grin wry. Made a doc on queer kids in the Bible Belt. Won awards. Lost lovers. The last word hung. Waited. Chris's gut twisted. I'm sorry. For ending it. Jason set his glass down. Eyes stormy. You chose. I survived. A pause. But yeah. It broke me. Silence. Then Chris. It broke me too. He reached. Fingers lacing Jason's warm. Right. The kiss ignited slow. Whiskey sweet. Years melting in the heat. Jason's hands roamed. Mapping changes. Broader shoulders. Lawyer's poise. They stumbled inside. Clothes shedding. Bodies remembering. It was reverent. Then raw. Jason's mouth on his throat. Chris's nails raking back. Gasps echoing off walls. Missed this. Jason groaned. Hips grinding. Missed you. Climax crashed like debate thunder, leaving them wrecked. Sheets twisted. Jason curled against him. Breath evening. What now? Senator. Chris kissed his temple. Now, we fight. Together. Dawn brought clarity and complication. Jason slipped out early. Note on the pillow, last night was real. But I'm still a reporter. Conflicts. Chris stared at the ceiling. Ceiling fan whirring like warning. Conflicts. The race tightened, polls neck and neck. Grant hammering dynasty fatigue. Donors whispered. Harrington's soft on social issues. Code for gay. October fundraiser. Yacht on Long Island Sound. Swells in tuxes. Skirts swishing. Chris worked the deck. Handshakes firm. Rita sidled up. Eyes on you, 2 o'clock. Jason. In slim blazer. Chatting a network exec. Their eyes met across champagne flutes, heat flashing. Later, stolen moment in the galley. Jason's back to the bulkhead, Chris's hands pinning wrists. Dangerous, Jason murmured, nipping his lip. Addictive, kiss deepened, salt air tangling. But Rita's radar pinged. Post-party. In the limo. Who's the pretty boy? Friend of the family. Old acquaintance. Chris's tone clipped. She eyed him. Acquaintances don't glow. Keep it zipped, Chris. Voters love a family man. The warning lodged like shrapnel. Mid-month scandal broke. Not his, but Grant's old emails. Donor ties to fossil fuels. Rita crowed. Mud's flying. Hit back hard. Chris demurred. Play fair, but privately. He seethed politics as blood sport. Elias's legacy. Jason's article dropped. Harrington's hidden heart. A prodigal's path to power. Nuanced. Probing, his exiles hinted. Queerness alluded. Not outed. A man remade by loss. It ended. Ready to lead? Reviews mixed. Insightful from progressives. Softball from conservatives. Chris called. Risky. Jason's laugh tired. Truth's always risky. You okay? Better than okay. Pause. Love you. Echoed back. Ditto. Halloween rally in Stamford. Ghosts and ghouls in the crowd. Chris in devil horns for laughs. Post-speech. Confetti swirling. Jason waited in the green room. Mask dangling. Nice horns. Fits the family. Chris pulled him close. Wanna see mine? Grin wicked. Laughter dissolved into heat. Door locked. Quick. Urgent. Jason on his knees. Chris's hands fisting hair. Moans muffled. After. Slumped against vanity. This can't last, Jason panted. The race ends. But us. It will. Chris's vow fierce. Senate or not. You're mine. But vows crack. Early November. Leak. Anonymous tip to Chronicle. Harrington boarding school brawl. Fight over lover? Jason's byline, sources say. Betrayal sliced deep. Chris confronted at HQ. Door slamming. You? After everything. Jason paled. Hands up. Not me. Swear. I killed the piece, too personal. But someone fed it elsewhere. Who? Voice breaking. Dunno. But it's out. Jason stepped close. Desperate. Believe me. Chris recoiled. Can't. Not now. Door slammed again, leaving Jason in echoes. The hit landed. Headlines screamed Harrington heir's secret past. Pundits speculated. Donors fled. Mom called. Voice quavering. The twins say step down. For the family. Family buried me once, Chris snarled. Not again. Climax brewed. Final debate. Hartford Arena. Lights blinding. Grant across the stage. Poised. Mr. Harrington. Your hidden years. Do they hide weaknesses we can't afford? Crowd hushed. Chris gripped mic. Heart thunder. Jason in the press pen. Eyes pleading. No. Senator. They forged strengths. I was young. In love. Yes. With a man. Exiled by fear. Not choice. Connecticut deserves a leader who fights closets. Not builds them. Gasps. Then applause thunderous. Grant blinked. Then nodded respect. Bold. Backstage. Chaos. Rita hugging. You crazy bastard. Polls just flipped, twins texting fury. But Chris sought Jason, pulling him into shadows. Sorry. Trusted wrong. Forgiven. Jason's kiss salt slick. Proud. Election night. Ballroom fever. Confetti cannons primed. Returns trickled close. Agonizing. Midnight. Projection. Christopher Harrington. Senator-elect. Roars. Hugs. But Chris scanned for green eyes. Jason. At the bar. Grinning wolfish. Mr. Senator. Dance. They did public. Defiant. World watching. Flashbulbs popped. But Chris only saw him. After-party haze. Sweet again. Bodies entwined. Victory sweet. We did it, Chris murmured. Jason's head on chest. You did. Jason's fingers traced ribs. Now what? Now, we live. Out loud. Dawn gilded the skyline. Promises new. Elias's ghost faded. Legacy reclaimed, not hidden, but human. Winter settled over D.C. Like a velvet shroud, the Capitol dome dusted in rare snow, a hush before the partisan storms. Senator Christopher Harrington's office in the Hart Building gleamed with fresh polish, Connecticut pine paneling. A desk etched with Elias's initials, now Chris's too. At 34, sworn in January 2026, he was the Senate's youngest, the prodigal, the enigma. Staff buzzed, 20-somethings in power neutrals, laptops humming policy drafts. But Chris felt the weight, every vote a referendum on redemption. Morning, boss. His chief of staff, Elena Torres, 30, sharp as a filibuster, dropped a briefing folder. First bill, Marriage Equality Act Amendment. Your baby. Chris nodded, flipping pages. Push it through judiciary. Allies on board. The bill, expanding federal protections for same-sex couples, post-Obergefell safeguards, was personal scripture, born of Hampton's kisses and Adirondack nights. Most. But McConnell's factions grumbling, overreach, Elena air-quoted, eyes rolling. And your families. Input. The twins. Marcus managing PAC funds. Lucas lobbying back channels. Post-election. Reconciliation thawed. Awkward brunches at the estate. Mom's reconciliatory hugs. But Elias's shadow lingered. The brothers saw Chris's coming out as electoral roulette, not revolution. Tell them it's progress, Chris said dryly. Harrington brand. Updated. Elena chuckled, exiting. Alone. Chris's phone buzzed. Jason. Lunch? That Thai place on KST. Off record. Promise. Grin tugged. Jason had relocated. Chronicle Bureau Chief. D.C. Beat. Apartment in DuPont Circle smelling of takeout and undeveloped film. Their rhythm. Stolen hours amid schedules. Jason's bylines dissecting Chris's votes with affectionate barbs. Critic or consort? Chris teased last night. Tangled in 600 thread count. Both, Jason murmured, nipping collarbone. Keeps you honest. Lunch was pad thai and plotting. Jason, in cable knit and glasses, knew, professorial forked noodles. Heard about the amendment. Ballsy. Think it'll pass. With arm twisting, Chris's foot hooked Jason's under the table. Casual claim. You writing the obit if it tanks? Headline. Harrington's honeymoon ends in heartbreak. Jason's grin wicked. But nah. I'm rooting. Quietly. The quietly stung. Old scar. Jason's ethics barred overt favoritism. No op-eds. No leaks. But nights. In the glow of Jason's projector screening rough cuts, barriers crumbled. "This one's about us," Jason whispered once. Frames flickering. Two silhouettes on a rooftop. Rain-lashed. Arguing then embracing. Inspired by true events. Now, post-lunch, Chris walked Jason to his metro. Kiss chased on the platform, eyes darting for lenses. "Dinner? My place." "Twins are in town." Truce talks. Jason's brow quirked. "Family therapy over filet?" Brave man. Desperate. Chris squeezed his hand. Fleeting. 7. The townhouse on Capitol Hill. Perk of the job. Furnished in neutrals, hummed that evening. Aromas of rosemary and red wine wafted from the kitchen. Caterers dismissed. The twins arrived punctual. Marcus with a bottle of 82 Bordeaux. Lucas bearing policy briefs like olive branches. "Bro." Marcus clapped Chris's back. "Grin easy. Place suits you." "Very." Statesman. Lucas scanned shelves, law tomes, a single Kerouac nod to Jason. "Settling in?" Votes looking solid. "Building coalitions." Chris poured wine. Tension coiling. "You too? Keeping the firm afloat?" They bantered. PAC scandals dodged. Donor hunts. Then, doorbell. Jason, in slacks and sweater, hair artfully mussed. Gentleman, handshakes firm, but twins' eyes appraised, wary, post-scandal. Dinner unfolded. Ribeye searing, conversation skirting minds. Marcus probed Jason. "Film world to ink?" Bold pivot. Jason shrugged. "Charming. Stories everywhere. Politics is just drama with worse lighting." Laughter eased. Over dessert, tiramisu, Mom's recipe. Lucas leaned in. "Look, Chris, the amendment. Risky optics. Base is twitchy." Chris's fork paused. "Optics or prejudice?" Silence. Marcus coughed. "Both? We're Harringtons, win ugly if needed." "Not anymore." Chris's voice steel. "This is me. Take it or leave." Jason's hand found his under the table. Anchor. The twins exchanged glances. Defeat? Acceptance? "Your funeral," Lucas muttered, but softer. "Just don't burn bridges." Post-dinner. Brothers gone. Chris slumped on the couch. Jason's arms enveloping. "That wasn't bad. Barely civil." Chris turned, burying in Jason's neck. "Thanks for being you. Always." Jason's kiss deepened. Hands wandering. They migrated upstairs, shedding layers. Bed a sanctuary. Jason's body, familiar yet ever new, drew moans like confessions. "Love you," Chris gasped, arching. "Love you back," Jason breathed, pace building to crescendo. After, sated, they talked futures. Jason's doc series pitch, Chris's subcommittee chair dreams. But shadows loomed. Re-election 2028. Whispers of national ticket. February brought frost. A donor gala at the Kennedy Center. Chandeliers dripping light. Chris in tux. Jason his +1 public now. Arm linked defiantly. Whispers followed the boyfriend. But allies nodded approval. Progressives toasted. Mid-gala. Interruption. Rita. Flushed. Emergency. Whip's office, your bills bottled in committee. Holdouts. Chris excused. Jason squeezed lingering. Backstage. War room. Senators in bow ties, arguing leverage. Trade votes on infrastructure, one urged. No compromising core, Chris insisted. Hours later, dawn breaking, compromise, bill advanced, diluted but alive. Exhaustion hit like flu. Jason drove him home, silence companionable. Proud, he said simply, tucking Chris in. March thawed scandals. Chronicle dropped a bomb. Twins pack linked to dark money. Fossil fuel ties. Jason's team. Anonymous sources. Headlines screamed Harrington hypocrisy. Fury boiled. Chris stormed Jason's apartment. Key under mat, trust's remnant. You, Jason, mid-keystroke, paled. Not directly. But my beat. Had to run it. Family, Jace. They're all I have left. Jason stood, fire in eyes. They're vipers, Chris. Hiding who you are for votes. I expose truth for you. Truth or takedown? Chris's voice cracked. Feels like betrayal. Jason flinched. Like when you ghosted for Daddy's throne? The slap of memory. Chris recoiled. Low blow. Real. Jason stepped close. Desperate. I love you enough to call bullshit. Fight them. Or lose yourself. Door slammed. Chris fleeing into cherry blossoms. Petals mocking fragility. Reconciliation simmered days. Texts. Sorry. Scared. Jason, me too. Talk. Coffee at Eastern Market. Tourists milling. You're right, Chris admitted. Steam rising. They're toxic. But cutting ties. Orphans me. Jason's hand covered his. You have me. Us. Kiss sealed it. Public and unapologetic. Paparazzi flashed. Tomorrow's tabloids be damned. Spring bloomed bills. Amendment passed Senate floor. 52-48. Chris's speech. Love isn't leverage. Viral. Protests erupted. Conservatives decrying moral decay. But allies swelled. Twins confronted at a state brunch. Mom mediating. You leaked. Marcus accused. Face red. No. But it's out. Chris met their stares. Own it. Or lose me. Lucas deflated. We. Protect the name. Name's mine now. Chris stood. Change or fade. Mom's hand on his. He's right. Boys. Elias taught ruthlessness. Chris teaches heart. Tears rare pricked. Hugs awkward, but real. Fracture mended, scarred. Summer recess. Escape to Provincetown. Cape Cod windswept. Rented cottage. No suits. Just board shorts and bonfires. Jason filmed candids, Chris laughing. Waves crashing. Our documentary, he called it. Nights. Porch swing creaking. Kids. Jason mused. Head on shoulder. Someday. Surrogacy. Adoption, rainbow family. Chris kissed knuckles. You in. Front row. Jason's grin soft. But idle ended. August call from Whip. Leadership wants you for 2028 Veep shortlist. Biden's out. Harris eyeing tickets. Stunned silence. Me? Gay. Freshman senator. Trailblazer. Laughter. Get used to it. Jason hooped when told. Tackling him to dunes. Celebration turned carnal. Sand and salt. Cries lost to surf. Fall session. Veep buzz hummed. Fundraisers ballooning. Jason's series greenlit. Out of the closet, queer power in DC Chris cameo. Raw interview. Exile taught me. Hide. And you die inside. Heirs to acclaim. Emmys whispered. Thanksgiving. Full table twins. Mom. Elena. Even Rita. Toasts to new traditions. Jason's hand in his underlinen. Gratitude swelling. But December chilled. Leak. Twins' revenge? Forged emails. Chris pressuring donors for queer causes. Pay to play? Screamed post. Rita. Sabotage. Who benefits? Grants eyeing your seat. Jason dug. Anonymous server tracks to a firm ally. Twins denied. But trust frayed. Chris confronted. Estate echoing. If it's you, it's not, Marcus swore. But. Parties scared. Gay Veep? Radical. Radical wins. Chris's ultimatum. Back me. Or out. They backed, grudging, then genuine. Crisis averted. But scars deepened. New Year's Eve. Rooftop bar overlooking Potomac fireworks. Jason pulled him close amid cheers. To us. Whatever comes. Kiss amid bursts. World exploding. Whatever, Chris echoed. Always. 2027 dawned with the ferocity of a filibuster. DC's cherry blossoms yielding to summer's swelter and the ceaseless churn of ambition. Senator Harrington's star ascended. Subcommittee chair on civil rights. Floor speeches that lit up C-SPAN like shooting stars. The Veep shortlist solidified. Harris's team, intrigued. Per leaks Jason vetted with a journalist's glee. But power's pedestal was glass, and cracks spiderwebbed beneath. Morning briefings in Chris's office now included threat assessments. Emails laced with slurs. Adam and Eve, not Harrington, picketed by fringe groups outside the heart. Elena dismissed. Noise. Focus on the Equality Act 2.0 trans protections. But noise amplified. One April afternoon. Post-vote on gun reform. Chris's aide burst in. Sir Fox ambush. Your lifestyle in the crosshairs. The segment aired at 6. Punditry dissecting his radical agenda. Spliced with Hampton's photo, resurfaced. Pixelated but damning. Is America ready for a Veep who prioritizes bedrooms over borders? The host sneered. Chris watched from his couch that night. Jason beside. Takeout cooling. Bastards, Jason muttered. Channel surfing. Want me to? No, Chris muted, pulling him close. Fuel for the fire, but sleep evaded. Elias's voice echoing. Optics kill. Retaliation brewed subtle. Chris sponsored the No Hate Act, tying federal funds to anti-LGBTQ+ training. Co-sponsors trickled. Progressive Dems. A GOP moderate. Hearings grilled. Overreach on states' rights? Rights for all, Chris countered. Voice resonant. Or none, Jason covered. Front row. His article Harrington's stand. From exile to equality trending. Dinner that night. You're terrifying them. Good. Chris's fork paused. Or arming them. Polls dip in red districts. Jason's foot nudged his. Win the middle. Be you. You was harder in spotlights. May fundraiser, Waldorf gala, crystal tinkling, whales in tails. Chris keynote poised. Passionate Jason at his table. Charming donors. But midway, a silver fox, GOP bundler, Texas drawl cornered. Son, admire the guts. But Veep, marry a nice girl. Optics, rage simmered. Jason, overhearing, interjected. Senator Harrington's optics are 5-star. Worry about yours. Laughter diffused, but the barb lodged. Bed that night, pent up. Chris pinning Jason to silk. Thrusts punishing. Fuck optics, he growled. Jason's legs wrapping tight. Fuck everything but this, Jason gasped. Nails raking. June heat wave mirrored tensions. Twins visited Marcus with merger pitches, Lucas with polling data. Veep talks real, Lucas said over steaks at Morton's. But base eroding. Pivot conservative. No, Chris's knife sliced precise. Or lose mine, Mom. Via Zoom from Greenwich. Proud. Darling. But careful, legacy's fragile. Legacy's mine to redefine. Click. Jason sensed fracture. Post-dinner walk along mall. They're pulling. Don't let go. Hand in hand. Tourists glancing, normalcy's illusion. Holding, Chris vowed. July 4th. Backyard barbecue at the townhouse. Staff and allies mingling. Flags snapping. Jason grilled. Apron smeared. While Chris toasted. To freedom's fought and won. Fireworks later. Bodies pressed on the lawn. Sparked more private bursts. But August scorched. Harris announced her ticket. Not Chris. Timing. Her camp spun. Too green. Too out. Polls confirmed. 48% favorable. But 32% unelectable. Devastation hit private. Chris in office. Blinds drawn. Elena hovering. Bullshit. Next cycle. Next cycle's never. He stood. Pacing. Elias waited decades. I waited years in shadows. Jason arrived unannounced. Pulling him into embrace. Hey. It's a dodge. Not defeat. Feels like both. Chris's voice muffled in shoulder. What if I'm the liability forever? Then you're my favorite liability. Jason's kiss fierce. Build anyway. September reset. Focus on midterms. Stumping Connecticut. Rallies electric. Youth turnout. Queer flags waving. Jason trailed. Filming for a PBS special. The Harrington Effect. One New Haven stop. Q&A. A teen 17. Wide-eyed. St. Augustine's blazer. Asked. Sir. How'd you survive the hiding? Chris faltered. Memory flooding. Bunks. Ridges. Gavel cracks. Jason's nod from wings. By finding people who saw me. You will too. Hug later. Kid whispering. Thanks. Tears pricked. Jason. Car ride home. That was you. Raw. Us. Chris corrected. Hand on thigh. October twist. Offer from a super PAC, shadowy. Anti-Harris. Join us. Moderate your image. Temptation whispered. Safety in compromise. But Jason's words, be you, declined. Leaks followed. Harrington snubs unity. Pundits piled on. Thanksgiving strained. Family table. Twins pushing strategic pause on advocacy. Rebuild base, Marcus urged. Base built on lies crumbles. Chris shoved plate. I'm done pausing. Storm out. To Jason's Thanksgiving 2.0. Elena and her wife joining. Turkey and truths. Laughter healing. December deadlines. No hate act stalled in reconciliation. All-nighter on Hill. Chris twisting arms. Dawn vote. 51-49. Tiebreaker Kamala's nod. Victory lap. Presser. Jason's camera rolling. This is for every kid in exile. Cheers. But whispers, primary challengers circling for 2028. 2028 primaries loomed like guillotines. Chris announced from Hartford steps, snow flurrying, for a bolder America. Jason beside, off camera, thumb up. Crowds swelled, millennials, marginalized. But attacks mounted, super PAC ads, grainy footage of promiscuous youth, not husband material. Jason's counterpiece, smears and shadows, the cost of coming out in politics. Donations surged. Spring debates, rivals Governor Hale, hawkish, Rep. Singh, tech darling. Chris held center, experience with heart. Jason prepped him, mock grillings over wine. You're ready, he'd say, kiss ceiling. But betrayal brewed. May, twins firm audited, IRS probe, ties to Chris's campaigns? Coincidence, Lucas swore. Jason dug deeper, uncovering, rival PAC funding the audit, anonymous tip from family ally, confrontation, estate, rain lashing. You set me up? Marcus. No. Protect. From what? Me? Chris's roar. I'm the threat now? Mom intervened. Enough. Boys. He's your blood. Blood. The word anchored. Truce. Twins confess pressure from elders, but loyalty sworn. Summer convention. Nomination night. Balloons falling like confetti tears. Chris's speech, fireworks. From hidden to horizon. Together. Jason in green room. Hug crushing. Holy shit. Fuck yeah. Kiss amid chaos. Fall campaign. Trailblaze. Heartland heart to hearts. Jason embedded. Stories humanizing. The senator who loved boldly. One Iowa diner. Farmer. Grizzled. Shakes hand. Wife's queer nephew, your bill saved him. Vote's yours. Tears. Jason. Bus later. See? Change. Election eve hotel suite. Nerves electric. Jason's hands steadying. Whatever tomorrow, win or learn. Polls closed. Returns. Tight. States flipping. 2 a.m. Projection. President Christopher Harrington. World exploded calls. Confetti. Twins hugging. Mom sobbing joy. Jason pulled him aside. Eyes shining. Mr. President. Mr. First Gentleman. Grin shared. Inauguration January 2029. Podium. Bible Kerouac's beside. Oath sworn. We hold these truths. Crowd roared. Jason's hand slipped into his. Unseen but sure. First 100 days. Executive orders, equality etched law. Scandals quashed. Coalitions built. One night. Oval hushed. Jason in armchair. Feet up. Worth the exiles? Chris knelt. Kiss soft. Every scar. For this, for us. Humanity's arc. Bent. Not broken. Legacy. Not hidden. But heralded. The Oval Office at midnight carried the weight of history. Its resolute desk a battleship under lamplight. Shadows pooling like ink on unfinished memos. President Christopher Harrington leaned back in the creaking leather chair, Elias's chair. Once, in dreams turned dust, rubbing temples against the migraine of midnight crises. It was March 2030, 15 months into the term, and the honeymoon had curdled into the grind. Border bills bottled, climate summits stalled, whispers of impeachment from the House GOP caucus over woke overreach. A soft knock. Jason Ellis Harrington, first gentleman now, title embraced with wry humor, pushed the door ajar, bearing 2 mugs of chamomile laced with bourbon. 38. He wore the role like a favorite flannel. Casual slacks, chambray shirt rumpled from a late edit session in the treaty room, where his production company churned docs for PBS. "You look like hell," he said, setting the mug down, green eyes scanning with that reporter's precision turned lover's concern. Chris accepted the drink, warmth seeping through ceramic. "Feel like it." Whip called, Singh flipped on the infrastructure vote. Says, "Constituents demand fiscal restraint." Air quotes heavy with sarcasm. VP Singh, his running mate, tech-savvy firebrand, had been a pragmatic pick, balancing the ticket, but loyalty frayed under party pressures. Jason perched on the desk's edge, thigh brushing Chris's knee, a deliberate anchor. Classic. Punch up tomorrow's address. Remind him, roads rot without revenue. His fingers threaded Chris's hair, tugging gently. Or delegate. You're president, not Superman. Laughter bubbled, fatigue cracking. Says the man who pulled an all-nighter on that refugee series. Jason's latest, Borders of Belonging, spotlighting queer migrants, Emmy bait, and a subtle boost to Chris's stalled reform bill. Guilty. Jason's grin flashed, freckles catching light. But I sleep with the boss. Perks. The kiss started soft, gratitude's exhale, then deepened, Jason sliding into his lap, mug forgotten. Hands roamed familiar paths, Jason's undershirt, tracing the faint scar from a .28 rally scuffle, Chris's gripping hip, pulling flush. Missed this? Jason murmured against throat, nipping. Map room's empty, Chris groaned, chair swiveling as Jason straddled. Rhythm building, desk-side discretion be damned, Secret Service ears discreetly plugged. It was quick, urgent. Jason's gasps muffled in shoulder, Chris's release a shuddering wave. After, slumped together, laughter hushed. Perks indeed. Love you, Chris whispered, foreheads pressed. Ditto, Mr. President. Jason's voice husky, then serious. Now, sleep. World waits, but sleep was commodity. Dawn brought cabinet. Defense hawkish on China tariffs, Treasury dovish on debt ceiling. Chris mediated, Elias's ruthlessness tempered by heart. His heart, Jason's gift. Afternoons blurred, bill signings, rose garden pressers. One April day, the twins helicoptered in. Secretaries now, Marcus at Commerce, Lucas at Justice. Lunch in the state dining room. Lobster bisque, banter laced with briefings. Trade deals teetering, Marcus said, napkin crisp. Beijing's stonewalling. Lean on alliances, Chris advised. EU's in, make it multilateral. Lucas nodded, eyes appraising. And the probe? House Republicans fishing old pack ties. Stonewall back. Chris's tone brooked no. The probe. Manufactured scandal. Dredging 2026 donor logs. Smelled of electioneering. Midterms looming. Post-lunch. Mom joined for tea, First Lady in spirit. Pearls and poise. The boys adore you, she said. Cup rattling saucer. Elias would approve. Ghosts. Chris squeezed her hand. He did. In the end. Her eyes misted, reconciliation's late bloom. Evenings. Rituals. Jason's film screenings in the screening room. Chris critiquing cuts. Too earnest here, he'd say. Popcorn kernel mid-toss. Art's earnest, Jason retorted, retaliating with kernel tosses to bare chest. Bedtimes wove deeper, talks of legacy. Kids, Jason mused one night. Lincoln bedroom guest quarters, oval too symbolic for domesticity. Adopt? That Ethiopian program you backed. Chris's heart swelled. Yeah. 2, a boy. Girl. Teach him Kerouac and constitutions. Jason's laugh rumbled. Road trips in the Beast? Secret Service scowls mandatory. May crisis. Supreme Court nomination, Ruth's successor, progressive jurist. Filibuster threats erupted. Chris twisted Senate arms. Old favors called. Confirmation hearings grilled. Mr. President, your personal biases, do they sway judicial picks? Justice sways on law, not life, Chris parried, live on every feed. Jason watched from press gallery. Thumbs up. Passage, 53 to 47. Celebration. East Wing dinner. Allies toasting. Twins clinked glasses. You pulled it. Team, Chris corrected. Jason's arm around waist, cameras flashing. Statement made. But summer soured. Heat dome scorched heartland. Wildfires raging. Chris's climate bill. Vetoed in-house. Protests swelled, youth in D.C. chanting Harrington's half measures. Jason filmed. Dockin works. Burning ambition. One rally edge. Scuffle. Bottle thrown, Chris's detail intervening. Bruise bloomed on arm. Jason icing it later. This job's a meat grinder. Worth it? Chris asked. Vulnerable. Jason's eyes fierce. For the world you're building? Yes. For you? Always. Fall midterms. Stump across flyover. Jason embedded. Iowa Town Hall. Farmer from 28. Now volunteer. Your refugee EO saved my daughter-in-law. Voting straight ticket. Tears. Jason. Backstage. Impact. Election night. Wins, House flipped blue. Senate held. Relief. Ragged. Winter recess. Holiday escape. Camp David. Snow blanketed. Family gathered. Twins' wives. Mom. Elena's crew. Sledding. Spiked cider. Jason organized talent show. Bad karaoke. Lucas's off-key Bohemian Rhapsody. New Year's. Toast under stars. To bending arcs, Chris said. 2032 loomed, re-election. Primaries smooth. Convention euphoric. Ticket intact. Sing loyal. Campaign trail, marathons. Gaffes minimal. Jason's tour doc, Trailblazers. Viral. Debate night. Opponent. Gov. Hail 28 rival. Grayer. Your excesses bankrupt us. Hale thundered. Investments build. Chris countered. Ask the kids with school lunches. The families with protections. Polls surged. Election eve sweet fever. Jason's massage easing knots. Tomorrow. History. Us, Chris murmured. Always first. Returns. Landslide. 52% popular. Electoral lock. Concession at dawn. Inaugural podium again. Oath reaffirmed. Gratitude's glue, he said. Jason's hand in his public. Proud. Second term. Bold strokes. Green New Deal light. Universal healthcare nudge. Scandals? Quashed. Protests? Dialogue. One crisis. Pandemic echo new variant. Chris's address. Masks. Mandates. Empathy. We've endured. Together. Jason's PSA series. Resilient threads. Human stories. Personal milestone. Adoption approved. Twins. Mia and Leo. 5. From foster care. Rose garden ceremony. Papers signed. Families chosen, Chris said. Mia on hip. Media frenzy. First Family 2.0. Jason's doc. Roots of resilience. 2036. Term limits loomed. Chris-eyed legacy foundation for equity. Post-presidency. Jason. Speaking tours? Or that novel you ghost-wrote? Laughter. With you directing the film. Retirement whispers. Vineyard. Vines and volumes. But 2034 midterms tested. Losses. House red. Impeachment whispers. Abuse of pardon power on a queer activist. Trial. Senate acquitted. 52-48. Twins testified. Frivolous. Aftermath. Chris's address. Oval firelit. Democracy's debate. Not destruction. Jason. Off camera. Warrior. Final year. Global summits. Nobel murmurs for peace accords. Domestic. Full Equality Act signed. Confetti federal. Farewell. Oval. Staff tearful. You made rooms brighter, Elena said. Inaugural for successor Singh. Mentee. Podium pass. Courage over closets. Post. Vineyard life waves. Writings. Jason's studio. Films flowing. Kids. Mia directing plays. Leo debating. Anniversary. Beach bonfire. 30 years since Ridges. Worth the hiding? Jason asked. Sand between toes. Chris pulled close. Hid to find this. You. Us. Kiss salt-kissed. Stars wheeling. Humanity's tale. Not triumph flawless, but persistent. Love's quiet revolution. Legacies lived loud. Elias's gavel echoed faint. Drowned by heartbeats. 2. Then for. Echoing eternal. In the end. No tragedy. Just grace. Hard won. Shared.